Another one.
This says, getting into QA at the entry level. What do you look for in a new hire? I looked at the sticky for how to approach this, but I am not sure if I could be using parts of my existing experience or if mentioning them would just hurt my chances. I see many places saying that entry level QA is in high demand. Where the hell do you see that? But I'm having trouble finding any positions that don't require 2 years of experience. Yeah, so you probably heard that from a boot camp. That is that's exactly where you heard it from. You heard from a boot camp that you probably paid $10,000 from, that entry level manual testing was in high demand and you'd be making about $80,000 to $90,000. And now you are saying that that is not the case. All right. So I'm interested in getting into QA, ideally as a path into game development, but have taken a fairly bizarre career path for the role, and I am wondering how to approach it. I've been I've been a successful sales and marketing career, but am looking for a change after a series of bad experiences. After severe burnout following my most recent role. By the way, I love burnout. I was burned out over the weekend and it was exhilarating. All right. Anyways, I decided to take a professional certificate in game development and completed the certificate just before the gaming market crashed and burned. I am passionate about gaming and game design, but it's a tough industry to get into at the best of times, and I'm competing with others who have much better qualifications and experience that have just been laid off. That sucks. It's like when we mistime the market, right? All right. I've been told by a number of people in the gaming industry that I've spoken with, that QA is often a good entry point. We shall see. My existing QA knowledge has to do with diagnosing and repairing issues in CRM systems like HubSpot and Salesforce and fixing bugs in my own games. The role I'm looking for doesn't need to be in the gaming space, just any way of getting a start in the field. My major questions for people in the QA space are: if you were in my shoes, would you want to get into QA? How would you approach trying to get an entry level position? Is there any transferables from sales and marketing to an entry level QA role? All right. So that is going to be a very, very tough one. But let's get a sip first. Bottoms up. Timer up. All right. So that's going to be, all right. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. So let's start with your questions. If I were in your shoes, would I want to be into QA? If I were in your shoes, I would not see QA as a bad option. I mean, if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't know what I know now, which would probably be a problem. But I think QA is always a great spot to get into. But the problem is that the way to get into QA is not as easy as they make it seem. You don't just go get a certificate or go get ISTQB certified or go take a boot camp and then think, okay, now I can just go apply to an endless amount of QA jobs and then expect to be ready to work, right? It just doesn't work that way, to be honest with you. What I what I would recommend, right? If you wanted to get into QA, the way I got into tech, right? I mean, other than like always been like trying stuff with tech as well. But like when actually get starting to work was it's a tech support job, right? I was on the calls, having a like I was on the calls, answering calls. Like the calls came in, people needed help with their troubleshooting their web hosting, and that's what I did. And I did that for maybe 2 years before I got moved into web development, and then from web development, then I went into QA. So, and I'll tell you this, right? Being in web development before being in QA was probably one of the it helped me a lot so being in tech support, that super duper helped me in tech in troubleshooting, right? And then being in web development, that helped me with HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and being able to troubleshoot in that sense, right? So like so that's the part about it that when you jump straight into like taking a boot camp, learning how to do QA, yeah, you know how to do QA, but there's a lot of stuff that you might not know how to do. And being that, like I was mentioning earlier, the saturation in the QA industry due to the boot camps, it's so much harder to get in there. So my advice would be maybe going like the help desk route, doing technical support, where believe it or not, in technical support, there is so much QA involved, right? So much QA. And I'll give you an example. A lot of people that I've worked with that they might start their career in support and they're on the phones, they're talking to customers and stuff like that, helping them troubleshoot, learning how to use the tools that we have built in order to troubleshoot to help the customers with their issues. And then they have the opportunity to transition into QA because they know how the company works, they know how the systems work, they know how to troubleshoot, they know how to fix problems and everything like that. And then that gives them the like a better opportunity to be able to showcase what they know, right? Instead of like just jumping straight into QA, because it's not easy to get into QA unless you have experience, right? So when I started in QA, um, I was started as a web analyst or something like that, web tester, and like the money was low, right? But I needed a job, and then I flourished because I grew very quick within the company, and I flourished. But it just depends how you're trying to get in there. If you think you're gonna like the boot camps, they always say, oh, you just take 6 months, 6 months, 6 months. I never really understand how whether it's warranted or not, whether it works or not, right? Whether you actually learn how to do the job or not. But a job that asks for a 4 year degree, right? You say, okay, I don't have the 4 year degree, but I have a 6 months certification. Like at a time when companies were desperate, it would work, but it's not as easy as it used to be. And that's why I would recommend like my approach, like, and if somebody wanted to follow my approach, you would put yourself in the best position to win, but it is not easy, it's a lot of work. But I normally say like, hey, you need to have a full attack, right? In going after what you want. So that might mean going to school, right? Going to a community college. I like to keep the prices cheap. Go to a community college, right? What like one of the guys that I'm coaching, 20 years old, right? He's actually in community college, right? And they reached out to me and said, "Hey, I need a tutor for Python and SQL." And I was like, "Okay, cool, no problem." And I said, "You know what? Actually, go sign up for this Udemy course." And now him taking the Udemy course, it's actually making him being able to pass the community college courses a lot easier because he's getting a better, more comprehensive explanation, right? So all things work together, and that's why I always say it's not one or the other. It's not go to college or do a course or do a boot camp or something like that. You need to have them all work together because a lot of times you get out of college, you're not really prepared to work either, unless you had some internships where you get to be in an office environment. But you might need to go to college. You might need to do a boot camp. I would say if you went to college, I would rather do some like Udemy courses or something like that. But and bridge that gap, you know. But it's that's how I see it, right? And Mitch had a question. Uh, he said, "Would it be easier to try to be a business analyst than try to transition to QA?" Yeah, I've seen it go like in both ways, right? I've seen QA analyst or QA people become business analysts, and I've seen business analysts become QA, right? So they're very close. But if it's easier to be a business analyst or to get into business analyst, then by all means, I would go for it. If but I just think, to me, honestly, getting your foot in the door would be the number one. Like that like finding a way in, right? However you can find a way in, that's the most important thing. whether it's through tech support, whether it's through help desk, maybe it could be through customer service. Who knows, right? Just finding a way in. Right? Finding a way in, to me, that's the most important part. And then once you're in that company, like I said, start hanging around the people who are where you want to be, right? And say, hey, like, volunteer, like, hey, and here's Mitch, you're gonna like this, right? Because why would I do this if I'm not getting paid for it, right? But if I was in this person's shoes, right, and I said I went into tech support and I want to do QA, I would spend my 40 hours on the phones or whatever, however long I'm on the phones, right? And then I'd reach out to the QA people. Hey, I'm interested in learning more about QA. Do you mind if I spend some time on my off hours? So maybe if I'm on tech support, right? Because I remember when I started doing tech support, my first shift was working 3 in the afternoon to midnight, right? So if I was if it was today, I was in that situation, I would say, okay, give me the 3 o'clock to midnight shift. So, and now I would talk to the QA team or whatever, to the software developers, whatever team it is, right? And I would say, hey, do you think I can come in like 3 hours earlier where I can get to like spend some time with you guys to see what you're working on, and learn a little bit more, maybe contribute a little bit just so I can get some experience. And that way I'm building my own internship as well, because I got my end into the company, and now I'm trying to hang out with the cool kids to get a little bit more experience, so that now writing some code or doing some testing and stuff like that. So now I might be spending 12 hours at the company because I'm still doing my job, but I'm saying, hey, can I get some extra experience in this stuff? Can I try it out? So that's what I would do. Find a way in, and then go hang with the cool kids, right? Go hang with the cool kids. Make sure I'm doing a stellar job, because I do not want what I'm trying to get to affect what they hired me to do. I have to make sure the work that I'm doing is absolutely amazing, but then I'm also going to spend some more time, however much time I need to spend to get to where I want to be. That's what I'm going to do, right? And am I getting paid for it? Yes, I am. I sure am, because I'm getting the necessary experience and the networking and showing the whoever there that I am serious about getting to where I want to be. All right. So that is my thought on that. Let's wrap that one up.
If you enjoyed the fascinating information shared in this video and you want more, be sure to hit the subscribe button to Tech Coach Ralph to be notified for new videos.